The exact second you open your mouth to defend your character against a false accusation, you have unknowingly handed your enemy the very weapon they will use to destroy your reputation. You have to picture the moment because it happens to every single one of us, usually when we are least prepared for it. You are at a dinner party, or you are in a high-stakes meeting, or perhaps you are just having a conversation with a partner, and suddenly the air changes. A comment lands. It is a subtle jab. Maybe it is a direct questioning of your competence. Maybe it is a lover twisting your words into something you never intended. In that split second, your biology betrays you. You feel that heat rise up the back of your neck, your cortisol spikes, your heart starts hammering against your ribs. Your brain, which is designed to protect you from social ostracization, screams a very specific command at you. It screams that you are being misunderstood. It screams that the record is being distorted. It screams that you must clarify, you must justify, and you must offer context immediately or everything will fall apart. So you obey that instinct. You start to speak. You start to explain exactly why you did what you did or why you didn't mean it that way, and in that precise moment you have lost. You have handed them your throat. You have signaled to everyone in the room, and most importantly to yourself, that you are submitting to their frame of reality, because the world does not judge you by the truth of your words. We like to think it does, but it doesn't. The world judges you by the desperation of your delivery. The one who explains is the one who submits. The one who defends is the one who accepts the other person's authority to judge them. We need to look at this through the lens of Niccolo Machiavelli, the master of power dynamics, because he understood a brutal truth that modern society has tried very hard to breed out of you. He knew that power is never about being right. Power is about who holds the frame. When you defend yourself, you are stepping into their frame. You are voluntarily becoming the defendant in their courtroom. But I want you to ask yourself a question that might change the way you navigate every social interaction for the rest of your life. What if you didn't? What if, when the attack comes, you did the one thing that terrifies a manipulator more than anything else? Most people go through their entire lives functioning as emotional puppets. They are pulled by the invisible strings of other people's opinions. Someone frowns, they apologize. Someone accuses, they explain. They live in a constant, exhausting state of reactive defense, endlessly trying to prove that they are good or smart or worthy or kind. It is a miserable way to exist. It is a slow suffocation of the soul, but there is a different way. There is a way of moving through the world that is so detached, so sovereign, and so psychologically impenetrable that insults do not just bounce off you, they dissolve before they even touch you. This is not about being cold. It isn't about being arrogant or pretending you don't care. It is about a fundamental shift in where you derive your reality. We are going to dissect the psychology of the non-defense. We are going to look at why your biology betrays you in these moments and how to override it with a strategy that Machiavelli would have whispered to a prince. I'm going to show you how to flip the power dynamic instantly, how to make an attacker doubt their own sanity, and how to use silence not as an absence of noise, but as a weapon of mass destruction against someone's ego. But I have to warn you, this requires you to kill a part of yourself that you have been feeding since you were a child. It requires you to kill the part of you that begs to be understood. If you can kill the need for permission, you become dangerous, you become untouchable. To understand how to do this, we have to understand why we do it in the first place. Why, when someone challenges you, is your first instinct to provide evidence of your innocence? It starts in childhood. Think back to when you were 5 years old. A parent or a teacher accused you of something. You broke the vase. You hit your brother, you stole the cookie. In that dynamic, you were powerless. The authority figure held the power of judgment and punishment. The only tool you had to escape punishment was explanation. I didn't break it, it fell. I didn't hit him, he hit me first. You learned that authority figures hold the keys to your survival, and you learned that your safety depended on convincing that authority figure that you were good. The problem is that you grew up, but your psyche didn't. You are walking around the adult world projecting that authority figure onto everyone you meet. You project it onto your boss, your partner, the stranger on the internet, and even your enemies. When you defend yourself against someone, you are subconsciously saying, "You are the judge, I am the child. Please accept my plea so I can feel safe again." It reeks of weakness. And human beings, primal as we are, can smell that scent of submission from a mile away. Machiavelli wrote that it is much safer to be feared than loved. Now, if we translate that to modern social dynamics, it means it is much safer to be respected than understood. When you rush to defend, you are prioritizing being understood over being respected. You are begging them to see your intent, but a king does not explain his decree to the peasant. A lion does not explain its hunt to the gazelle. The moment you start rambling, giving reasons, showing text messages, bringing up past events to prove your point, you have signaled that your internal stability depends on their agreement. You have given them the key to your house. And once they have that key, they can trash the place whenever they want. This is the trap of the validating self. You believe that if you just explain it clearly enough, they will say, "Oh, I see now. You are right. I was wrong." I want you to think about how often that actually happens. Almost never, because the attack was never about the facts. It was about the power. They didn't accuse you because they wanted the truth. They accused you to see if you would jump, and when you explained, you jumped. The first step to becoming untouchable is to realize that the courtroom does not exist. There is no judge. There is no jury. There is only you and your perception of reality. When you stop treating other people like judges, their accusations stop sounding like sentences. They start sounding like opinions, and opinions are just noise. So what happens when you don't jump? Imagine the scenario. Someone throws a verbal spike at you. They say, "You're being incredibly selfish right now." The old you would say, "No, I'm not. I did X, Y, and Z for you yesterday. I'm just tired." That is defensive. That is weak. That is reactive. Now imagine the Machiavellian approach. They say, "You're being incredibly selfish right now." You look at them. You hold eye contact. You don't blink. You keep your face completely neutral. You let the silence hang in the air for 3, 4, maybe 5 seconds. Do you know what happens in that silence? It creates a psychological vacuum. The human brain is terrified of silence during a conflict. Silence signals a rupture in the social fabric. It signals that the other person is not playing the game. When you stay silent, you are mirroring their energy back at them. You are forcing them to sit in the tension they created. Usually they will start to crumble. They will speak again to fill the void. They'll say something like, "I mean, you're not always selfish, but just right now," or "Why are you looking at me like that?" They start defending themselves against your silence. The power has flipped. This is the gray rock method taken to a weaponized level. You become a void. A void cannot be attacked. You cannot punch mist. You cannot cut water. By refusing to provide the resistance of a defense, you cause their attack to pass right through you and unbalance them. This requires immense internal control because inside, your ego is screaming. Your ego wants to fight back. It wants to say something clever. It wants to win. You must leash that dog. Machiavelli knew that the most powerful person in the room is the one who cannot be read. If you defend, you reveal your values. You reveal what hurts you. You reveal your buttons. If you shout, "I'm not stupid," now they know your insecurity is intelligence. If you shout, "I'm not a bad person," now they know your insecurity is your moral standing. Silence reveals nothing. It is a dark mirror, and when they look into it, they only see their own aggression reflected back, and it makes them uncomfortable. It makes them feel judged, which is ironic because you haven't said a word. Sometimes, however, silence is not enough. Sometimes the situation requires words, but they must never be defensive words. If you must speak, you never push back against the force. You pull it. You use the aikido of conversation. There is a concept in dark psychology called agree and amplify. It creates a state of cognitive dissonance in the attacker. If someone accuses you of something absurd, defending yourself validates the absurdity. It suggests the accusation is serious enough to warrant a response. Instead, you lean into it. You exaggerate it until it becomes a caricature. "Let's play this out." The attacker says, "You are so obsessed with money." You're greedy. The defensive response is, "No, I'm not. I just want to provide for my family." Boring, predictable, low status. The Machiavellian response is, "You caught me. I actually swim in a vault of gold coins like Scrooge McDuck every Tuesday. It's terrible for my back." You say it with a flat face or a slight, amused smirk. What have you done here? You refuse to be insulted. You proved you are not insecure about the topic. You turned their serious attack into a joke. You established that you are the one framing the reality, not them. This strips the attacker of their weapon. They wanted to hurt you. Instead, you took their knife and started peeling an apple with it. It signals what we call amused mastery. Amused mastery is the ultimate state of high status. It is the attitude of a parent watching a toddler throw a tantrum. You don't get angry at the toddler. You don't argue with the toddler. You are amused by the drama because you know you are safe. When you defend yourself, you are getting down on the floor and screaming with the toddler. Don't do that. Stand up. Look down, smile. Robert Greene in the 48 Laws of Power talks about Law 25, recreate yourself. Part of that is refusing the identity others try to thrust upon you. When they label you, they are trying to put you in a box. If you fight the box, you are still interacting with the box. If you mock the box, you dissolve it. If they say you're arrogant, you say, "I prefer the term charmingly confident, but sure." If they say you don't care about anyone but yourself, you say, "I'm working on it. I'll add you to the list of people I care about next year." It is savage, it is dismissive, and it is incredibly attractive. Why? Because it shows you are whole. You do not need their validation to know who you are. A person who knows they are generous laughs when called stingy. A person who knows they are smart laughs when called stupid. If you are defending, it is because deep down you fear they might be right. And that is the shadow work you must do, which we will get to in a moment. Let's go deeper into the philosophy of the interaction. Every conversation has a meta-structure, a hidden architecture. In a conflict, there's usually a judge and a defendant. The judge asks questions. Why did you do that? What were you thinking? Who do you think you are? The defendant answers. I did it because I was thinking that. Whoever is asking the questions holds the power. Whoever is answering is losing status. The most lethal Machiavellian trick is to simply refuse the role of defendant and seize the role of judge. You do this by answering a question with a question or by analyzing their behavior instead of your own. They ask, why are you always so late? The defensive you talks about traffic. The Machiavellian you says, why does my arrival time affect your mood so deeply? Boom, do you see the shift? Suddenly we are not talking about the clock. We are not talking about me. We are talking about their emotional stability. We are talking about their reaction. You have put the spotlight back on them. They say, you're being ridiculous. You say, what makes you feel the need to use labels like that to get your point across? You are psychoanalyzing them in real time. This is infuriating to a manipulator. They want you on your back foot. Instead, you are walking around them, observing them like a specimen in a jar. Phrases like, it's interesting that you perceive it that way, or does saying that make you feel better, act as shields. They acknowledge the sound coming out of the other person's mouth, but they do not accept the content. It is a boundary, a verbal force field. You are saying, this is your stuff, not mine, keep it. This is not just a technique. It is a spiritual stance. It is the realization that other people's perceptions of you are none of your business. Their anger is their problem. Their disappointment is their responsibility to manage. When you defend, you are trying to carry their emotional baggage for them. You are trying to fix their feelings. Stop it. Let them carry their own weight. Now for the paradox. Sometimes the most aggressive, defensive, power-flipping move you can make is to agree, but not the way you think. This is not the agreement of submission. It is the agreement of the abyss. Imagine someone is screaming at you. They are listing your flaws. They are trying to provoke a fight. You look them in the eye and say calmly, you're right. And then you stop talking. You're right, I am difficult sometimes. You're right, I did mess that up. This is the fogging technique. When you throw a rock into a fog bank, what happens? Nothing, no thud, no rebound, it just disappears. When you agree with an attacker, you steal their momentum. They are pushing against a door, expecting it to be locked. When you open the door, they fall on their face. They want to fight, they want resistance. Resistance validates their anger. Agreement neutralizes it. But here is the nuance you cannot miss. You must agree with the truth in their statement without accepting the shame they are trying to attach to it. There is a massive difference between admitting a mistake and accepting a character assassination. If they say, you messed up this report, you're incompetent, the defensive person says, I'm not incompetent, the data was wrong. The power move is, you're right, the report has errors, I'll fix it. Notice what was left out. You didn't address the incompetent part. You ignored the insult and addressed the fact. You took ownership of the action but not the identity. This signals immense confidence. Only a person who is secure in their competence can admit a mistake so easily. Insecure people fight to the death to prove they didn't make a mistake. Secure people say, oops, my bad, and move on. Machiavelli would call this disarming the enemy. If you lay down your sword, they look foolish holding theirs. It takes the wind out of their sails. It makes them look hysterical, and you look grounded. And in the long run, history is written by the grounded. None of this works if it is just a tactic. If you are using these lines but your voice is shaking, or your eyes are darting around, or your energy is screaming, please like me, it will fail. Dark psychology is 20% words and 80% nonverbal frame. You have to build the internal architecture to support the silence. This brings us back to the shadow. Why does it hurt when they attack you? Because they are touching a wound that is already there. If I tell you that you have green skin, you won't get mad. You'll think I'm crazy. You won't defend yourself. You'll laugh. But if I tell you that you are a failure and you defend yourself, it's because a part of you suspects I might be right. The ultimate defense is not a verbal technique. It is self-knowledge. It is looking into your own darkness, owning your own flaws, and accepting your own shadow. When you know you are capable of selfishness and someone calls you selfish, you say, sometimes, yes. When you know you are capable of cruelty and someone calls you cruel, you say, I can be. You cannot shame a man who has already accepted himself. This is what it means to be untouchable. It means you have integrated the parts of yourself that others try to use against you. You become transparent. The light passes through. You are no longer a fortress that needs defending. You are the wind, so here is the challenge. For the next 7 days, you are going to play a game. The game is called no defense. No matter what happens, no matter how small the accusation, you are forbidden from explaining yourself. If you are late, say, I'm late. Do not give the reason. If you spill the coffee, say, I spilled the coffee. Do not blame the cup. If someone misunderstands you, let them misunderstand you. Sit in the fire of that discomfort. Feel the urge to fix it, to manage their perception, to be the good guy, and let that urge burn to ash. Watch what happens to the people around you. Watch how they react when you stop playing the game. You will see confusion, then respect, then a strange kind of magnetism. Because people are drawn to certainty, and nothing screams certainty louder than a person who does not need to explain why they exist. You are reclaiming your energy. You are plugging the leaks in your soul. You are stepping out of the role of the child and into the role of the sovereign. The world will try to pull you back. It will try to bait you. It loves a reaction. Don't give it one. Keep your mystery. Keep your power. Keep your silence. If this philosophy resonates with the darker, deeper part of your mind, the part that is tired of performing for others, then you know what to do. Subscribe, but not because I asked you to. Subscribe because you are done being a prey animal in a world of predators.